Now I want to introduce you to the symbolism of this Apollonian idea as it was reawakened in the Renaissance. This whole thing was really lost during the deep Middle Ages. However, during the first three centuries of the Christian development in the Near East, there was developing alongside of it, I mean, before Theodosius came down with the axe of love, there was developing beside it the classical Hermetic traditions, and a body of texts known as the Corpus Hermeticum developed. At the time of the Renaissance, Cosimo de' Medici asked Ficino, Marsilio Ficino, to make a translation from a Greek text that was brought from Byzantium by a Greek monk, to make a translation from the Greek into Latin of the Corpus Hermeticum. Ficino did so, and immediately medieval art took on a whole new radiance. Botticelli was absolutely filled with this, and what was recognized was that the symbolic imagery of the pagan world was equivalent in its mystic meaning to the mystically interpreted symbology of Christianity. There's a room in the Prado with about 5 Titians from this time, some of them of Old Testament, you know, fall in the Garden of Eden, others of classical scenes, and they're all singing the same song. This was a great moment in the Renaissance, and it brought forth, as you know, a glory of art. And it came precisely from the inspiration of this translation of the Corpus Hermeticum, where the very symbols of the Christian cult, which, as we have seen, go back to the classical world, could be reinterpreted in terms of Hermetic rather than of Mosaic mythology. In the Borgia chambers of the Vatican, there is a great picture by Pinturicchio of the goddess Isis on a throne instructing 2 disciples. One of them is Hermes and the other is Moses. These are the 2 ways of reading symbolic forms. Hermes, the Hermetic, symbolic way. Moses, the literal, prosaic, historical way. There are 2 aspects, and take the one you want. This is a fruit of this great moment. This is one page from a book called Practica Musica by a man named Gaffurius, and the date is 1493. And what it shows is the whole mystery of the 9 muses and the 3 graces in relation to the Ptolemaic sequence of the planets: Earth, Moon, Mercury, Venus, Sun, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, and the fixed stars. I want to go through this now in some detail. It's a wonderful summation of both Renaissance and classical mysteries. Associated with each of the planets in this Ptolemaic sequence is a muse. There are 9 muses. The muses are clothed. Art is the clothing of a revelation. When we get up here at the very throne of Apollo, we have 3 graces naked. There, the revelation is achieved and rendered, to which the arts are pointing. 9 muses, and the square root of 9 is 3. When Dante beheld Beatrice, she was 9 years old. And then his second beholding of her, she was 18, and so was he. And he said, she is a 9, because her root is in the Trinity. She was his muse. The muses are 9, and their root is in the Trinity, which in the Hermetic system is represented in female form, whereas in the Christian it is in male form, the 3 persons in the one substance of the divine Trinity in its mystery. The substance here is personified as Apollo, male, and the moved features are female. The text says the radiance, the vis of the Apollonian mind moves everywhere the muses. The muses, the inspirations of poetry, which is to say of religion, of mythology, are moved by the radiance of God. First, we have this fantastic tale of a serpent culminating in 3 faces. When Dante was lost in the middle of the way of our life, he was in a dangerous wood and was threatened by 3 animals. One was the lion, which represented pride, hanging on to ego, hanging on to yourself. The second was a leopard, representing lust. In this case, it's represented by a dog's face, desire. The third animal was a wolf, which represents fear, the past, which tears away what you've got. And so these 3, they go together. This is the temptation of the Buddha. If he hung onto his ego, lust and fear would have moved him. They didn't. They're moving us, and so we're stuck. The first of the muses, her name is Thalia, is shown under the ground. She's called Silent Thalia because we can't hear her as long as we're hanging on to ego and fear and desire. We're not hearing the voice of the universe when we're hanging on to our own personal problem. So relax. I think I showed here the figure of death playing the violin to the artist. Let death talk to you, and you break out of your ego pride. That means you've got to put your face in the mouth of the lion. Face the real experience of today. Don't reread it in terms of past experiences. One of the problems of Zen is that of having an experience. People talk about trying to learn the meaning of life. Life has no meaning. What's the meaning of a flower? What we are looking for is an experience of life, getting the experience. And we're shutting ourselves off from the experience by naming, translating, and classifying every experience that comes to us. We fall in love. Okay, is this going to lead to marriage, or is this illicit, or what? You've classified and lost the experience. So put your head in the lion and just think, I don't know what the hell's going on, and something will come out of it. The experience will be then graded according to the distance along this body. This is called Cerberus, the 3-headed dog that guards the seat of hell, and this is the tail up which we come to the very throne of God as we rise along the scale here. Through this exaltation, we come finally to the radiance, the Apollonian radiance, which moves the 3 graces. Here is Euphrosyne pouring the energy down into the world. Over here is Aglaia, splendor, carrying it back. And in the middle is Thalia, the same name as our goddess down here, who unites the 2. Now remember, this is a translation of the classical pagan Hermetic symbology. In the biblical translation that was recognized, these 3 female forms become the persons of the Trinity, the male persons of the Trinity. Jesus pouring the grace into the world, coming in love. The Paraclete carrying us back, and the Father in whose right and left sides are these 2 powers. And then instead of simply the radiant substance, we have a personification of that substance as Apollo. Now these notes here represent the conjoint tetrachord. This is what we now would call the A minor scale. Music in these different modes representing the different moods and grades of this exaltation. And these then are the names actually of the notes of the scale in the classical forms. Now, this is a very compact statement of the relationship of the arts to exaltations and transformations of consciousness. And now, in one of the